All right, welcome to the Young Turks. Cenk, Uygur, Kasparian with you guys. Okay, it's a wild ride tonight. We have an interesting rotating series of hosts tonight. So Anna and I are going to start. Then Idarola is going to come in, and then Brooke Thomas and Alonzo Bowden are going to come in. We got a lot of stories for you guys. Acosta's in a lot of trouble. Luckily, finally, Epstein's in a lot of trouble. And there's an amazing story of discrimination in the second hour, but Kamala Harris with a new proposal that I'm not sure I'm in favor of. She might have, she might have outflanked me on the left there. That's a fascinating turn of events.
Is it the real estate thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't wait for that discussion.
Yes, so lots of different interesting things in today's program. Okay, but we start with, I would argue, great news. So let me do that for you guys. New Justice Democrats are here. I told you justice was coming. So you know the Justice Democrats that won last time around: AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Ayanna Pressley, and you know Ro Khanna, Pramila Jayapal, and Grijalva are already in Congress. So we got 7 more on the way. So today, 3 new candidates announced. Some you will remember, and some are new. So up first, Cory Bush, Justice Democrat again. She was one of the 4 women featured in the documentary Knock Down the House, along with AOC. And Cory is back and against Lacey Clay. Cory is amazing. If you saw the movie, didn't see the movie, you might not know all about her. She's a Black Lives Matter organizer in St. Louis. She was the first vice chairperson of the Missouri Democratic Party Progressive Caucus. She was a 2015 Woman of Courage Award from the Emmett Till Legacy Foundation, 2016 Deluxe Magazine Power 100 Award, Top 50 Women of St. Louis by Gazelle Magazine, Unsung Human Rights Hero by the St. Louis Coalition for Human Rights in 2017, and in 2018 Community Activist Award from the Missouri Association of Black Ministers. So this is exactly what the Justice Democrats look for. Someone who has been helping the community, working in the community from day one. When she got into it, she had no idea she was going to get into politics. In fact, a lot of the people working in Justice Democrats asked her to get involved in politics because that's the next step. When you're already looking out for your community this much, you should actually look out for them in Congress, as the other Justice Democrats have done. And so she's a registered nurse, she's an ordained pastor. She ran against Lacey Clay last time. Now that's a machine that Clay has and a lot of incumbents have. And they don't play nice. But Cory Bush is so strong. We're gonna tell you in a second how you can help all of these great women who are running, but it's great to have her back. I don't know what Lacey Clay's done. I mean, I know his family's been there in Congress for a long time. Can you name, or can anyone in his district name anything that Lacey Clay has done? No, a lot of these incumbents just sit there going, well, hey, I got the seat. I was handed the seat and I'm just gonna keep it. And the way to keep it is you keep your head down. Don't cause any controversy. Don't fight for your voters. Just keep on taking that donor money. And remember, Justice Democrats, no corporate PAC money. That's why you know they can represent you. That's why in Congress, they've actually been representing you, unlike a lot of the other corporate Democrats. So Cory's up first. Now, another Justice Democrat that was around last time, Marie Newman. She is running against, she's in Illinois 3, and she's running against one of the 2 worst Democrats in the House. So we're taking on the 2 most conservative Democrats. Already we'd announced Jessica Cisneros against Henry Cuellar. In this case, it's Dan Lipinski. He is the head of the pro-life caucus, even though he's a Democrat. He has voted against immigrants. He has voted against raising the minimum wage. He has voted against Obamacare. He's voted against LGBTQ rights. Why is this guy a Democrat? Well, you might say, well, maybe he's in a really purple district, or he won a seat in a Republican district and he has to appease those voters. No, even Hillary Clinton won his district by 15 points. He's deeply conservative because he wants to be. And so are the voters in that district anywhere near that conservative? Nowhere near it. The #1 problem is people don't know. They think they see a D next to Dan Lipinski's name and think that, oh, he's a Democrat, he must be a progressive. No, he's deeply conservative. He's gotta go. She almost beat him last time. It was one of the closest races in the whole country. She only lost by 2,000 votes. But this time around, justice is coming. So Marie Newman's back, again, a Justice Democrat. I'm just going to tell you right now before I even give you the rest. Just there's one more. JustDemocrats.com/July slate is you go how you support these folks. JustDemocrats.com/July slate. You could do that. We'll put a link down below if you're watching this later on YouTube or Facebook. Now, a new Justice Democrat. You know how Susan Collins helped, well, she's a Republican, so she helped the Republicans pass many things, including putting Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court. And the list goes on for all the things that she aided and abetted Donald Trump on. Well, if people were so mad about that, they raised $4 million for whoever is her general election opponent. So corporate Democrats are like, woo, $4 million from real voters. On top of the corporate bribes we'll get, that's amazing. We're gonna go take that money. Wrong, you're not gonna take that money. We're gonna go get it for justice. And the candidate for the Just Democrats is Betsy Sweet. So now Betsy Sweet, another amazing woman. Let me tell you about her. She was executive director of the Maine Women's Lobby. In 2017, she wrote and helped pass the first Family Medical Leave Act in the country. She helped create the first clean election system in the country in Maine. She created the Civil Rights Team Project that is now in over 400 schools. These are the kind of people who should be representing you. Susan Collins always brags, hey, once in a blue moon, I vote with Democrats. I'm so moderate. And the rest of the media is like, oh, moderate Susan Collins. She once voted against Donald Trump and once voted against George W. Bush. Not nearly good enough. No way, get out the way, get out the way. Here comes Betsy Sweet. So everybody, these are wonderful candidates. You gotta go support them because they're not taking corporate PAC money. So justicedemocrats.com/July slate, okay? And you can go to their individual websites as well. And I think that we are gonna have a whole new day in Congress because imagine what all these women can do on top of what AOC and the others are doing. Imagine if it's only 7 of them in Congress. Now all of a sudden you got these 3, you got Cisneros, and so many others. Jamal Bowman running against Elliot Engel in New York. Go to justdemocrats.com, find out about all the Just Democrats, and more are coming. So justice is headed over to the House and to the Senate. And I can't wait if on the night of the election in 2020, not only do we take down Donald Trump, I'm also dreaming of taking down Mitch McConnell, but we put in all these Just Democrats in the House and the Senate. That's how you get change. Because look, not only will we have more votes in those places for Medicare for all, Green New Deal, all of these folks agree with that, okay? Agree with all these progressive reforms. But on top of that, let's be real, let's be honest. We'll have scared the bejesus out of the incumbents. And so all of a sudden, my guess is they're gonna find Jesus, or at least the progressive version. Well, Jesus is the progressive version. They're gonna go, oh yeah, I meant Medicare for all. I meant Medicare for all. So send them a message, make sure these strong, brave women fighters get into Congress.
All right, so we have some other news. Okay. By the way, that was awesome. Super exciting and inspiring, especially seeing all those strong women speak truth to power like that, so. Yeah,
look, I think Betsy Sweet has an excellent chance of winning. I think Marie Newman is the favorite. We lost so many last time around too. We had wonderful, amazing victories, but we also lost a lot. So I fear saying that Marie Newman's the favorite, but I really, my political analysis is that she is.
Yeah.
And so getting more of these super strong progressive women in.
It's so important, especially considering this next story that we're gonna do, because it's certainly related.
Yeah, and one last thing about Cory. I know, sorry guys. I hear the control room. All right, look, the Lacey Clay just sitting there doing absolutely nothing. And he thinks, and he won by a wide margin last time, I'm gonna keep it real, okay? But so he thinks, I got this. I don't have to worry about Cory Bush. Oh, community organizer, Black Lives Matter organizer. Lacey Clay's like, I'm already African American and I'm the incumbent, so I don't have to worry about it.
No way, Clay.
Oh, hashtag no way, Clay. Well, look, where there's a will, there's no Clay.
That's pretty good.
Okay, all right, now here's why we need him.
All right. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi continues to demonstrate that she's saltier than the Dead Sea when it comes to freshman Democrats. In fact, earlier she was attacking freshman Democrats for the way that they voted against giving Border Patrol billions of dollars with no strings attached. And that was in an interview with Maureen Dowd in the New York Times. Now, Politico is reporting that Pelosi had a caucus meeting, closed door meeting, where she decided to continue going after these individuals who continue to challenge her failure to lead, her failure to actually resist Trump's policies. In fact, she has only enabled Trump when it comes to the treatment of migrants. Let me make the case. Now, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has been very clear in her reasoning as to why she voted against the appropriations bill that would give Border Patrol over $4 billion, $4.6 billion. And she tweets about it. She's very open and transparent, saying DHS and ICE are flagrantly violating congressional orders just as we said they would. Yet it is Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, Rashida Tlaib, and I that were wrong to oppose throwing more money to abuse agencies, right?
So I want to give some context there. Because there's two different proposals that the four of them voted against. One was the Republican proposal, which eventually over 100 Democrats voted against, and Nancy Pelosi needed Republican votes to pass. In fact, more Republicans voted for Nancy Pelosi's ultimate legislation than Democrats did. So Pelosi must be so proud. I'm sure she's gonna get a bipartisan pat on the back from all the mainstream media. But that's a Republican bill that Pelosi passed, period. It was a Republican bill in the Senate and majority Republican in the House, and Trump was thrilled to have it with no conditions. But there was also an earlier House version, and those four voted against that one too, because that House version said, okay, here are conditions, but they're not really conditions. They rely on the goodwill of the Trump administration.
Right.
That's why AOC gives that tweet. How's that goodwill of the Trump administration working out for you?
Exactly, and I love that she brought that up because like you're gonna attempt to do this honor system with the Trump administration. I mean, they have
what honor?
Oh, exactly. They are as dishonorable as anyone could possibly be. But Pelosi took notice of how AOC uses social media, and it's not just AOC, it's other freshman Democrats, how they use social media to communicate with their constituents and to also give a little transparency into why these decisions are being made. And so in a closed door meeting, Pelosi said, quote, "I'm here to help the children when it's easy and when it's hard. Some of you are here to make a beautiful pate, but we're making sausage most of the time."
Okay.
Okay, what?
Yeah.
All right, so that was strange.
All right, so I want to talk about that too. So she's being dismissive in such a hilariously elitist way with references to pate. Okay, I don't know, I guess I'm a barbarian. Is pate the thing with liver? Is that no?
I think so. I don't know. People put it on cheese plates.
Okay, so whatever, right? But to her, because remember Maureen Dowd, yeah, okay, the thing with liver, we confirmed it. we do a news show here. Okay, so the Maureen Dowd interview where Nancy Pelosi also took pot shots at AOC and other Just Democrats, Maureen Dowd was like, she's holed away in her bunker in her vineyard at Napa Valley. My guess is
things are tough there.
Yeah,
very tough.
She's not eating sausage there, she's eating pate, okay? So now she's referencing, of course, hey, you don't wanna see the sausage getting made, that phraseology, right? But that makes it seem like, oh, you guys are children. This is why she's talking down to them. Like, oh, sure, we'd all love to have our version of the bill, but I don't know if you know this. We have to compromise here to get things done in Congress.
No, it's
if I hear one more unbearable coward Democrat say that, as if they're like in their patronizing, demeaning way, not only to us, but now to the young freshman minority congresswomen. Like, oh, you might not know this, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ayanna Pressley, but here we're making sausage, and there's other people. Of course they know that. Of course we all know that. Stop being patronizing. It is unbearable. The question, and my question back to you, because apparently you don't know anything about how to actually get things done, Nancy Pelosi, is do you know that if you actually stood up for your own position, especially when you have leverage and you could control one of the branches of Congress, that you might actually be able to get concessions for your own side.
But here's the thing, Cenk, she would get concessions. I mean, she has a great deal of leverage in this case. I mean, the Democrats control the House, we all know that. She is House Speaker. And you have the Trump administration asking for more border control funding, right, in this appropriations bill. I mean, the whole point of electing Democrats to Congress and to the House is to make sure they control the House and they serve as a means to mitigate the damage that the Trump administration wants to do. What's the point if they're not actually gonna do what they're supposed to do? Like, what I would do if I were Nancy Pelosi is say, no, I am not going to sign on to this unless we have the safeguards necessary, unless we have improvements for the conditions of these migrants. I am not gonna throw away hard-earned taxpayer money at these facilities that have children die under Border Patrol watch. Okay. And I would do a press conference every single day, and I would apply pressure to the Trump administration. But that is not what she's interested in doing.
So look, it's a really fair argument as to whether Nancy Pelosi is not that bright, and she just really is terrible as a legislator, or she actually agrees with Trump and the Republicans almost all the time and goes, oh golly gee, there's nothing I could do. Trump, you win again in exactly what you wanted.
She's
Oops.
Scared. I think that's the answer. I think she's scared. I think she's worried that applying that pressure that I just spoke about is going to somehow hurt Democrats.
So now let me explain how you actually do this, because apparently you guys suck at your job. And let's not leave Chuck Schumer out of this, because he surrendered even more than Nancy Pelosi did. He was the original domino to fall. Chuck Schumer like talking tough about Acosta, et cetera. Now, yeah, spare me, okay? So when Trump said, hey, he was like, oh, that's how Schumer was, okay? Total and utter coward. So now, here's what you do, Schumer and Pelosi. You do a press conference like Anna said, and what do? You say, look, I'm gonna give you the money. I'm not gonna keep you the money from you, but I wanna make sure that you're spending it in the right places, because in the past, you've taken money we've given and without permission, misappropriated to other places like your goddamn wall. Bingo. And it's not gonna happen on our watch. So at a bare minimum, look, this is the easiest thing in the world. You say, every kid's gonna get a mattress, every kid's gonna get soap and a shower every day, every kid's gonna get toothpaste. If you don't agree to that, have at it, Hoss. Come make your case. Come make your case to the American people that the kids should not have mattresses, that the kids should not have soap, and they shouldn't have showers. Go ahead, make your case. Make your case. I am gonna give you the money, but I'm not gonna give it to you until you not just promise it or do it on Scout's honor. Trump has no honor at all. Do you not know that, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer? No, these are our conditions and they are not negotiable. Until then, we're not passing it and it's on you.
And I just want to remind you all that Pelosi knows that she's in the wrong here. She knows, which is why she's being so incredibly defensive in her press interviews and in these closed door meetings with Democrats. Because remember, after the bill had been signed by Trump, he got the money that he wanted. What did Pelosi do? She releases a strongly worded letter toward Trump about how the conditions for these migrants needs to improve. What is your strongly worded letter gonna do? It's gonna do nothing.
Look, we got more from Pelosi in a second, but look, if you think strongly worded letters after you've already passed the legislation is the correct way to legislate, then you really should be fired immediately, because you don't know anything about legislating. After you've already passed the bill, your letter is irrelevant. My God, are you such a child that you don't know that, Nancy Pelosi? Or do you think that, and look, to be fair to her, it's not that she thinks all the American people are children. She just thinks the press is so compliant. They'll dutifully write that I wrote a strongly worded letter to Trump, and they'll pat me on the back, and I'll win again. And which is what leads us to the next thing that Pelosi said.
Yes.
Because she thinks, no, you're not allowed to go around the press. I own the press, I control the press. I'm allowed to go to the press, you're not allowed to fight back.
So this is the part that really stood out to me, because she's upset that members of Congress are turning to social media to communicate their differences with their constituents. So she says, you got a complaint, you come and talk to me about it, but do not tweet about our members and expect us to think that is just okay. So she had a full-on interview with Maureen Dowd in the New York Times where she very openly and clearly attacks freshman Democrats like AOC. So I don't know, I mean, maybe you should be a leader and quit with your negative commentary toward freshman members of the House if you don't want anyone to criticize you openly on Twitter. But with that said, I think the way that AOC has handled this and the way that she communicates with her constituents and Americans overall is incredibly important. This is the first time in a long time we have this level of transparency and honesty, and I think that it applies pressure to Pelosi. She doesn't like the fact that people on the left are now really starting to criticize the way her leadership style,
Okay, so a couple of things here. She says, you don't do it on Twitter, you come talk to me. What are you talking about? They came and talked to you. They talked to you 100 times. Every time you're like, no. Medicare for all? No, I sent my top staffer to go tell the insurance companies, I got their back. Keep the money train going. We're never gonna do Medicare for all. Well, okay, we came and talked to you. What good did it do? Green New Deal, they came and talked to you and you called it Green Dream or whatever. What good did it to come talk to you? We came and talked to you about the $15 minimum wage. You said you were gonna do it. You said you were gonna do it the first 100 hours. Nothing. What good does it do to come talk to you when you work for the other side? When you constantly block all progressive policies and you constantly aid and abet the Republicans? It's like going and saying, you should just go talk to George W. Bush or Dick Cheney or Donald Trump. If I just talk to them, I see. So again, is that your idea of how legislation works? Childish, okay? Now, secondly, you're not allowed to use Twitter. I'm allowed to use the New York Times. Because the New York Times is subservient to the people in power. And let's be honest, they are. Now, New York Times does great investigative stories from time to time. But when it comes to their beloved establishment politicians, they never lay a glove on them. You want to go after a progressive, New York Times is your organization. They will smear a progressive day in, day out. Nancy Pelosi, no, Nancy, what would you like to print? We need an interview. We need access, Nancy. Chuck, you're so great, Chuck. What do you need? I'll do it for you. You want me to smear AOC? Of course, AOC is the worst, doesn't understand anything, et cetera, et cetera. New York Times, you are miserable at this. Hey, New York Times, did you ever think the over $500 million that Nancy Pelosi raised, maybe it had strings attached? Wow, that would require journalists and editors who gave a damn about power, where it resides, where it comes from, and have sophisticated look into politics. But you know what? The people that work at the New York Times, also children, going around like, Nancy Pelosi got all the money, and I'm sure that all those corporations gave Pelosi and Schumer money for their health or for charity, and they didn't want anything in return, because corporations, they don't want return on investment. New York Times, stop helping the powerful. You're supposed to hold them to account. So now Pelosi says, I own and control the media like New York Times, so that is the only place you're allowed to go. Going around the mainstream media, which we've already corrupted, to the actual people? Unacceptable. How dare you tweet? No, put away the Twitter, right? Why do you think they're holding all those hearings? You think it's because they're worried that Facebook, et cetera, has other issues? No, they hate that they cannot control the media anymore, both Republicans and Democrats. And finally, it's time for a Justice Caucus. Let's go. I mean, look, I knew it from day one. Now, these are lessons hard learned by people, and they gave Pelosi every opportunity. They gave Schumer every opportunity. I told you, they're not on your side. Start the Justice Caucus now and build it. Okay, and let's find out who's on what side. If you're on Trump's side, you join Pelosi's caucus. If you're on the side of progressives, you join the Justice Caucus. Let's go today. Fire Pelosi and let's move on.
All right, we got to go to break, but when you come back, there's going to be a different panel here.
Yeah,
okay?
So John's going to come join us. If you think I'm angry about this, wait till you get a load of me on Epstein on Acosta. I am so sick of the rich having different rules.
John can't wait.
Okay, all right, come right back. We hope you're enjoying this free clip from the Young Turks. If you want to get the whole show and more exclusive content while supporting independent media, become a member at tyt.com/join today. In the meantime, enjoy this free segment. All right, back on the Young Turks, Cenk, Uygur, John Iarella with you guys. First, member comments. Shadow Hawk says, does anyone know what the lead-in song for TYT is? I think it's just a generic song, right? It's just not anything special. Meg says it's from the Library of Free Songs. You could find it there somewhere. Meg says, hell yeah.
Special.
Yeah, believe me, it's free. Okay, Meg says, hell yeah, Cory Bush. Beckdo71 says, I live in Washington State and even I'm sick of Susan frickin' Collins. Come on, Maine, get her out. So remember to promote those guys, support those guys. JustDemocrats.com/July slate, okay? And then Hangry Skywalker says, saltier than the Dead Sea. Ha ha ha, the show may or may not have peaked already. Okay, it has not. By the way, we've got these rotating hosts today, which are kind of fun. Anna comes back in the last half hour. That's obviously the post game for the members. It's Anna, Alonzo Bowden, and J.R. Jackson in the last half hour for just the members. TYT.com/trial to become a member and check that out. Speaking of which, the Stone Buddha writes it on Twitter, stuck in Seattle traffic, at least I got TYT live. That's awesome. You can get the app, you can get it anywhere, anytime. Laura Gelazuna says the population of the US is around 50% women, so why isn't Congress made up of 50% women? Laura, we talked about this in the post game yesterday. That's again the last half hour of the Young Turks. Women are coming, and I think they are going to absolutely dominate over the next 20 to 30 years. So forget 50%. Business executives, Congress, etc. I think you could say it's crazy. I don't think so. It's going to be more than 50% women. Now I know it's a long period of time, but I truly believe in that.
Tucker Carlson just had a heart attack.
I know, and I'm thrilled about it. Okay, so by the way, yesterday we told you about the movie that Wolfpack is making to highlight the end of corruption and how we can end it so that you could get rid of all of these problems at once. That's wolf-pack.com/film. I think we're up to $16,000, which is amazing in one day. Let's keep that going, wolf-pack.com/film.
That's awesome.
And tonight I'm gonna be, speaking of rotating hosts, I'm gonna be on Cuomo Primetime on CNN at 9 o'clock Eastern. I'm going to be talking about Alexandria Acosta and the deal that he made about Epstein. I am furious about that. We're going to talk a little bit about it now as well, and don't miss that. It will be definitely fiery. And one more thing not to miss. I know I'm throwing a lot of things at you, but there's a lot of great stuff coming up. We're going to Detroit. That's where the second debate is. And we want you guys to show up. We're doing it one night only, and it's the first night, July 30th. Sign up at tyt.com/rally. Let's go do it together. Detroit is one of the strongest towns that we have. In fact, in 2014, they pretty much tied for #1 along with Chicago in the city competition that we had for the different cities. And I remember the meetups there, wonderful people. We went and actually visited both Chicago and Detroit because they won the competitions. And then someone even did what's called a peep diorama, which sounds dirty but isn't.
It was great.
Yeah, actually. Of the TYT studio. So Detroit is an awesome TYT town. Okay, and you see how it says TYP for peep?
I love that.
Okay, and so make sure that you come join us in Detroit, whether you live in Detroit, anywhere in Michigan, or anywhere in the surrounding area. We need a huge turnout. Last couple times, Bernie has at least stopped by both times. We've had a number of candidates that came by and spoke, some Justice Democrats, etc. So it's gonna be fantastic. Go to tyt.com/rally, and on July 30th, I will see you there, and so will John, because this time John Iadarola coming to Detroit. So
that's the idea.
Detroit, watch out. Here comes Johnny Pie.
Yeah, let's see if we can get some more people to sign on to the Progressive Economic Pledge. Because I just checked again, and it's at 4. And there are some names that there is no understandable reason why they have not signed on yet.
The presidential candidates, yes. Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Marianne Williamson, and Mike Gravel have signed. And so were AOC, Ro Khanna, Jamie Raskin, a lot of wonderful progressive groups, and more is on the way. And over 25,000 of you have signed, and that's at tyt.com/pledge. Keep that going. Trust me, man. Yeah, that gets to 100,000. That's gonna get everybody's attention. 100,000 voters in the primaries. Every politician will be interested in that. And right now, it is a good question as to why some of the candidates have not signed.
Come on, Delaney.
Well, Delaney's fairly clear, fairly clear. But others I'm very curious about. So go to tyt.com/pledge to make that happen, okay? Let's go get them.
Okay, let's go get you were talking about Acosta? Might give you a chance to talk about it a little bit. The ongoing and developing Epstein legal drama has dominated the news this week. And unfortunately, in terms of what's going to happen, we don't have much new there. But people are re-digging into some of the fairly disgusting details of what he's been up to the past few decades. And thanks to the case once again being in the national spotlight, we also have a new accuser, which we're gonna get to in just a little bit. First, we do have all of his high-profile friends fleeing for the hills effectively, saying they didn't know him as well as they're rumored to have. They didn't necessarily like him if they did know him. And Donald Trump is certainly one of the most high-profile examples of that, because as you've probably heard this quote before, he was quoted in 2002 saying in New York Magazine, "I've known Jeff for 15 years, terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." Is just creepy in so many different ways. And so because of that, and because their picture's been taken together, and Epstein claims that he was responsible for Trump getting together with Melania in the first place, both of their numbers were in his black book when that was revealed a few years back. People want more details, and we're getting them, and they're pretty disgusting too. So there's some new reporting, the New York Times, talking about a party that Donald Trump went to with Epstein. And so Trump in 1992 directed a Florida businessman, George Heraney, who would later accuse Trump of sexually harassing his former girlfriend and business partner, Jill Harth, that's a separate story, to organize a members-only calendar girl competition at Mar-a-Lago. After Heraney arranged to have some contestants fly in, he told the Times in an interview Monday, he discovered that there would be only 2 attendees. At the very first party, I said, "Who's coming tonight?" "I have 28 girls coming. It was him and Epstein," Heraney recalled. "I said, Donald, this is supposed to be a party with VIPs. You're telling me it's you and Epstein?" And indeed it was. So they had a big group of more than a couple of dozen girls, and just those two having fun times and appreciating beautiful women, some on the young side perhaps.
Yeah, so listen.
That's all the details we have.
Yeah.
Oh, one added wrinkle before you jump in. While Trump is now saying, I didn't approve, not a big fan of him at the time, he said he was a terrific guy. Heraney, at least now, is saying even back then, Heraney was worried about Epstein. He said he pretty much had to ban Jeff from my events. Trump didn't care about that.
So that goes to the same thing that the Donald Trump quote goes to. They knew back then. Donald Trump doesn't go around saying, man, Jeff Epstein likes girls young, when for no reason. Remember, Donald Trump liked girls young. And I'm not saying that to put him in the same boat as Epstein. I'm saying that and I have evidence of that. Remember, there's a story of how he used to surprise the younger pageant girls, Donald Trump, and would walk into their dressing room when they were half naked. And he has, on a number of occasions, and some of it is on video, talked to really young girls and said, "Oh, you're gonna be a beauty when you grow up," etc. If Donald Trump is saying that Epstein, who he knew really well back then, likes girls really young, man, that means he likes them really, really young. Yeah. And they all knew. He said, Trump once joked around about how he went to a pool party at Epstein's place, or he went to Epstein's place and there was a bunch of kids in the pool, and he's like, "What'd you get, like something like?" You have that?
So this is coming, unfortunately, from a book by Roger Stone. But he said that Trump visited Epstein at his Palm Beach home, and later seemed to joke about the scene of underage girls he witnessed there, saying the swimming pool was filled with beautiful young girls. Trump apparently told a Mar-a-Lago member, "How nice, I thought, he let the neighborhood kids use his pool."
Now remember, Roger Stone is not saying this as a criticism of Trump, who he is great friends with, or necessarily even of Epstein. He's just saying, hey, these are my buddies. And Trump said this about another friend of his. Oh, he let the neighborhood kids use his pool. No, they know why he let the neighborhood kids use the pool, so he could molest them. They all knew. And people who were decent back then would ban him from events because he was a predator. Trump, on the other hand, thought that's my kind of guy. Hung out with him, went to parties with him, invited 28 calendar girls to party with him. These guys are all scum.
Yeah, and look, I was very clear this morning when we talked about this in the damage report that all of this looks really bad, but we don't know anything for sure. And in all likelihood, I mean, we know how difficult it's been, how many attempts it's taken for Epstein to have any real legal consequences. Donald Trump is much more powerful than Epstein. The idea that if anything happened, and we don't know that it did, that there would ever be any consequences for Donald Trump, I think is pretty hard to imagine. I mean, how many times has he been credibly accused of doing some sexual assault, rape, those sorts of things already, and it's meant nothing. The idea that a few more, that would tip the scales, I kind of doubt it at this point.
Now I'm
and we don't know that anything happened.
No, look. I'm so tired of the rich having different rules. I can't stand it anymore.
Yeah.
This story has made me snap on that. I mean, look, we all hated it from day one. We covered the affluenza stories, the Stanford kid who did the rape and got away with it. The original affluenza story, I think 4 people died, and they're like, oh, but he's rich, it's okay, etc. When he's drunk driving. In this case, Epstein, they let him out for 16 hours in the day when he was supposed to be in jail. He had his own private suite inside the jail when he went to go sleep there for 8 hours. It was a goddamn hotel. They gave him every advantage. Now, if you're a bleeding heart liberal and you say, well, look, I don't know that we need to take the guy and break his back and put him in and have the other guys do terrible things to him in prison, etc. But they do that to poor people all the time. They do it to middle class people all the time. And if your middle class person was caught molesting dozens of girls, do you think he's gonna have his private suite where he only sleeps there and he's out for 16 hours a day, 6 out of the 7 days? Do you think any of that is gonna happen? Of course not. And I can't stand it anymore. Now, when you turn to Trump and Clinton, look, John is right. We have no idea if Trump or Clinton did anything with underage girls. We don't know that. We do know, at least Trump is on the record as having known that Epstein likes young girls. By young, Trump clearly means underaged. So if you say, no, it's not clear, maybe he was just talking about 18 and 19-year-olds. Okay, you can believe any fantasy you like. But look at the quote about the neighborhood kids in the pool. They knew. If you knew and protected a child molester in your neighborhood that had molested dozens of kids, you'd be in a world of trouble.
Yeah.
Prosecutors would be all over you. Were you an accessory? What did you know? When did you know it? What crimes did you cover up? But hey, no, Trump, Clinton, rich and powerful. So you think there's gonna be justice? I mean, it took decades to now even think about justice for Epstein, who's the guy who we know did it in the first place. Remember, he pled guilty last time around, okay, for that nonsense sentence, but he did plead guilty. And by the way, it was for what they said, solicitation of prostitutes. Some of the girls were 14 years old. They were not prostitutes.
They can't be prostitutes.
By definition and legal definition, they can't be prostitutes. But by the way, they were not, most of them were not engaged in that. He co-opted them into it. He said, oh, just give me a massage. Oh, I'll just be half naked. Oh, I'll just be naked. And he's a predator. And they call those 14-year-old girls prostitutes just so they could let Epstein off easier. And now, since some of the most powerful people in the country were Epstein's buddies, there's not gonna be any justice for them. Nobody's gonna be talking about accessory. Nobody's gonna be talking about, hey, did they know about Epstein's crimes? Who's gonna hold them accountable? Nancy Pelosi?
Well, no.
Don't be ridiculous.
I mean, William Barr said that he's not gonna recuse himself, which means he wants to be the sheriff on the beat. He wants to make sure that there's consequences. That's why he's not recusing himself.
And if you're wondering about, why would William Barr, the Attorney General, I get why he wants to protect Trump, that's the whole point of why he was put in office, but why does he care about protecting Epstein or Acosta? One, it comes back to Trump, so there's William Barr. No. You know what, Trump did build a wall. He built a wall around himself with William Barr by appointing him Attorney General. Says, so Barr's like on the scene, whatever you do, you're not allowed to touch Donald Trump, okay? So you will not be going after him. But on top of that, you know that Acosta, before he was a prosecutor on the Epstein case, worked at Kirkland Ellis. The reason William Barr, one of the reasons that he was going to recuse himself from the entire case, but now has only recused himself from part of the case, was because Barr also worked at Kirkland Ellis. And wait for it, you wanna know who represented Epstein? Kirkland Ellis. So it's a nice little club they got going there. The problem isn't pizza parlors. The problem is that the rich and powerful have an army of lawyers. They're all connected. They're all in the same goddamn club. So the only punishment that ever comes is to the average American. And they skate every time. And I can't stand it anymore. All right, we got to take a break. We're not done with this story yet. We got a couple more updates throughout the show about different things that have happened. Let's take a quick break right now and come right back.